The Galactic Combat Academy's training hall fell silent as Instructor Vexter clicked his mandibles in what passed for a smirk among his species. The towering Krill warrior had been waiting for this moment since the humans arrived. Today, his translator crackled. We demonstrate why humans do not belong in elite combat programs. Eliana stood in the center of the mat, her dark hair pulled back, expression unreadable. She wore the standard Academy training suit, looking impossibly small compared to the assembled alien cadets. Beside her, Colin shifted his weight, jaw tight with barely concealed anger. Your species is weak, Vexter continued, his four eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Fragile. Your bones break easily, your skin tears, your endurance is limited. He gestured to Eliana with one of his 6 arms. This one especially. Females of your kind are even more delicate than your males. Colin started forward, but Eliana's hand shot out, gripping his wrist. She didn't look at him, didn't acknowledge the rage building in his chest. Her eyes remained locked on the instructor. Sir, she said calmly, would you care to demonstrate? Vexter's mandibles spread wider. Gladly. The other cadets and Theri Krill, even the crystalline Luxians, formed a circle around the mat. They'd all heard the rumors about humans, about their strange capacity for violence, their unpredictable nature. But standing before them, Eliana looked like nothing more than prey. Vexter moved into his combat stance, a traditional Krill form that had been perfected over 10,000 years of warfare. His exoskeleton gleamed under the training hall's lights, each of his 6 arms ending in razor-sharp talons. He outweighed Eliana by at least 300 pounds, stood 2 feet taller, and possessed reflexes twice as fast as any human. Eliana stood perfectly still, feet shoulder-width apart, hands loose at her sides. She didn't adopt any recognizable combat form. She simply ... waited. The first lesson, Vexter announced to the class, is recognizing structural weakness. He began to circle, his talons clicking against the floor. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. They chase prey until it collapses from exhaustion. But in close combat, their upright stance leaves the torso exposed. Their single-jointed limbs offer limited defensive options. He moved without warning, one arm shooting forward in a strike that would have shattered ribs. It was a controlled demonstration. He pulled the force enough not to kill, but enough to hurt, to teach the fragile human her place. Eliana's hand moved. The movement was so slight, so economical, that half the cadets missed it. Her palm connected with Vexter's wrist, not blocking but redirecting. The force of his own strike, combined with the angle of her deflection, sent his arm wide. His momentum carried him forward exactly as Eliana intended. Her other hand had already moved to his elbow joint, applying pressure to the gap in his exoskeleton. She didn't push, she didn't pull, she simply guided the energy of his strike back into his own body. Using his weight and speed against him, Vexter's feet left the ground. The instructor's eyes widened in shock as he felt himself airborne. Eliana had shifted her stance by perhaps 2 inches, just enough to redirect his entire mass. Her feet remained planted in their original position as she used his own momentum to flip him completely over. The impact shook the training hall floor. Vexter landed hard on his back, the air exploding from his lungs. Before he could process what happened, Eliana's knee was against his primary breathing port, her hand positioned at the weak point between his head and thorax. She could have killed him. They both knew it. In human martial arts, Eliana said quietly, her voice carrying in the stunned silence, we have a saying, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. She stood, offering her hand to the downed instructor. We learned thousands of years ago that strength isn't everything. Sometimes, it's a liability. Vexter stared at the offered hand, then slowly reached up and grasped it. Eliana helped him to his feet with surprising ease, using leverage rather than strength. Colin couldn't suppress his grin as he watched. The instructor's mandibles twitch in confusion and perhaps newfound respect. How? Vexter demanded, his translator struggling to convey his bewilderment. You didn't move, your stance didn't change, Eliana confirmed. Because I didn't need to. You committed to your strike, made yourself predictable. I just helped you along. The instructor was silent for a long moment, processing. Around them, the alien cadets whispered among themselves, their various forms of communication creating a strange symphony of clicks, hums, and crystalline chimes. Again, Vexter said finally. Eliana raised an eyebrow. Sir, strike again. I will defend properly this time. What followed was perhaps the most educational 10 minutes in the Academy's history. Vexter attacked with every technique in the Krill arsenal: high strikes, low sweeps, multi-arm grapples. Each time, Eliana redirected, guided, and used his own force against him. She moved with minimal effort, her stance barely shifting. Her breathing never labored. By the 5th throw, Vexter was learning. By the 10th, he was laughing a sound his translator rendered as grinding stones, but which the humans recognized as genuine mirth. Incredible, he finally admitted, straightening his carapace with 2 arms while the others hung loose in a gesture of respect. Your species weaponized physics itself. We weaponized everything, Colin interjected, stepping forward. We're really good at that. Eliana shot him a look but couldn't quite hide her smile. Vexter turned to address the assembled cadets. I have taught combat for 70 years. Today I learned that weakness is ... perspective. His eyes fixed on Eliana. Humans do not win through strength. They win through adaptation, through turning every disadvantage into opportunity. He clicked his mandibles this time in what the humans had learned to recognize as approval. Perhaps that is the most terrifying weapon of all. As the class dispersed, Colin bumped Eliana's shoulder. That was amazing. You made it look effortless. Judo usually does, she replied, stretching her arms. 4,000 years of refinement will do that. Think he'll underestimate humans again. Eliana glanced back at Vexter, who was demonstrating the redirection technique to a group of fascinated Zenthari cadets, his movements careful as he tried to replicate what she'd done. No, she said softly, but I think that's exactly what we needed. Respect isn't given in the galaxy. It's earned, 1 throw at a time. Colin grinned. Humanity, fuck yeah. Humanity, fuck yeah. Eliana agreed, and headed to the showers, leaving behind a training hall full of aliens who would never quite look at humans the same way again.